Around 9000 BC, humans started settling down and farming, which changed everything. As people began living close to animals, diseases started to spread. This was the start of early epidemics, but we don't know exactly when they began because there are no records from that time. With the rise of villages, towns, and trade, these diseases spread even further, laying the foundation for bigger outbreaks. One of the earliest recorded pandemics happened in 430 BC, known as the Plague of Athens. During the Peloponnesian War, the disease wiped out 25 to 30% of Athens' population, and the city was in chaos. It's believed to have been typhus or a fever, but we can't say for sure. In 165 AD, the Antonines Plague, probably smallpox, hit the Roman Empire. It spread quickly, killing 5 million people, or about 2.5% of the world's population at the time. These early pandemics were just the beginning of a long, tragic history. Between 500 AD and 1500 AD, the world saw some of the deadliest disease waves in history. The Plague of Justinian in 541 AD was the first recorded global pandemic, linked to the bubonic plague. It spread from Central Asia to the Byzantine Empire, killing up to 100 million people. The death toll was so high that it weakened empires and helped new powers, like the Islamic caliphates, rise to power. Around the same time, leprosy spread across Europe, likely originating in East Africa. This slow-spreading disease was highly stigmatized, with those infected often isolated in leper colonies. It left a lasting impact on medieval society's views on illness and isolation.
Because of their appearance, people with leprosy have been stigmatized. From biblical times all the way up to the end of the 20th century, most people suspected of having leprosy were forced into exile, resulting in thousands of so-called leper colonies.
But the deadliest of all was the Black Death from 1347 to 1351. Bubonic plague killed 200 million people, nearly half of Europe's population. It spread rapidly along trade routes, with fleas on rats carrying the disease. The Black Death also introduced the first quarantines, which helped slow future outbreaks. The period between 1492 and 1700 marked a time of intense exploration and the beginning of the Columbian Exchange, which led to the spread of new diseases across the globe. When Christopher Columbus and other European explorers arrived in the Americas, they brought diseases like smallpox with them. This disease was particularly devastating to indigenous populations, who had never been exposed to such pathogens. Smallpox wiped out up to 90% of the native population in some areas, including the Aztec and Inca civilizations, before Europeans even set up permanent colonies.
Smallpox was one of the most frightening diseases the world has known. It killed at least 300 million people in the last century.
At the same time, syphilis, a disease native to the Americas, made its way back to Europe, spreading rapidly. It was a significant health crisis in Europe, leading to widespread panic and the development of new treatments.
And this is exacerbated by the fact that there's swamps all over the city. And what I mean by swamps is there's holes dug into the ground where people have been discarding human and animal waste, and then they're collecting rainwater, and you've got this beautiful breeding ground for mosquitoes everywhere. And so this was really going to drive one of the worst yellow fever outbreaks the U.S. has ever seen. And by the end of the summer, really the fall, in 1793, more than 10% of Philadelphia's population had died.
Alongside these diseases, yellow fever and malaria, both carried by mosquitoes, also spread through European trade routes, affecting regions like the Caribbean, Africa, and Europe. The diseases had a massive impact on the Americas, particularly in the Caribbean and South America, where they decimated European settlers and forced them to rely on enslaved African labor, who had some resistance to these diseases. Between 500 AD and 1500 AD, the world faced some of its deadliest outbreaks. The cholera pandemics that began in 1817 in Bengal spread rapidly across Europe and Africa, causing millions of deaths. Cholera was transmitted through contaminated water, and by the time it reached London in 1854, physician John Snow mapped the outbreak, laying the foundation for modern epidemiology and highlighting the importance of clean water. In 1918, the Spanish flu pandemic hit, killing an estimated 50 million people worldwide, about a third of the global population at the time. The spread of the flu was worsened by the movement of soldiers and refugees after World War I, leading to widespread panic and societal chaos. Meanwhile, in 1796, Edward Jenner developed the first smallpox vaccine, revolutionizing the fight against infectious diseases. After more than 200 years of efforts, smallpox was officially declared eradicated by the World Health Organization in 1980, marking a monumental victory in global public health.
He again variolates them with smallpox subsequently, and he finds that not a single one of them shows any sign of having been exposed to smallpox. He coins a scientific term for cowpox. He calls it variola vaccina, or the Latin word vacca, meaning cow, and his procedure he calls vaccination.
The HIV/AIDS pandemic, which began in the 1980s, has had a profound impact on global health, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. The virus, which mutated from a simian virus, spread rapidly, and by 2005, AIDS was officially recognized as a pandemic, causing over 30 million deaths. Despite significant advancements in prevention and treatment, around 40 million people still live with HIV today. In the early 2000s, the H1N1 flu pandemic in 2009 infected millions worldwide, while the SARS outbreak, 2002 to 2003, revealed the vulnerabilities of global travel and trade, although it was less deadly. These outbreaks highlighted how quickly diseases can spread in our interconnected world. Then came COVID-19, a pandemic caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which emerged in Wuhan, China, in 2019. Its rapid spread was fueled by globalization and dense populations. By 2021, COVID-19 had infected over 200 million people and claimed more than 4 million lives.
In the past 2 weeks, the number of cases of COVID-19 outside China has increased 13-fold, and the number of affected countries has tripled.
Underscoring our ongoing vulnerability to pandemics in an increasingly globalized world. In the 21st century, diseases like Ebola, Zika, and MERS continue to pose significant threats, especially in regions with weak healthcare systems. Though these outbreaks were largely contained, they highlight the ongoing risk of new, unknown pathogens. At the same time, malaria, tuberculosis, and cholera remain persistent challenges, particularly in areas with poor sanitation. Malaria, for example, continues to claim millions of lives in sub-Saharan Africa each year. Organizations like the World Health Organization, WHO, and the CDC play a key role in early detection, vaccine distribution, and global health responses. But the world remains vulnerable. The history of pandemics reminds us to stay vigilant and prepared. Pandemics have shaped history from ancient times to the modern era. Instead of advancements in medicine stopping them, new diseases continue to emerge. Global cooperation, early detection, and swift responses remain crucial in combating future threats, reminding us that public health is always essential.